Greetings, denizens of the tri-state area. Jacob Weil here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
The dragon? I know what we're going to do today. We're going to activate the Recap-inator and discuss my favorite cartoon, Phineas and Ferb. That's right. In honor of the 15th anniversary and in preparation for the upcoming revival, I'm guiding Blue Dragon 5 here through the series, experiencing his reactions, watching it for the first time, and reliving my summer memories throughout the years. Today's episodes are Out of Toon and Hail Doofania. So before we get into like the episode itself, Dragon, this is actually the season 1 finale. so that's right, we've come to the end of season 1. So thoughts on the episode? Well, Out of Toon first off.
Yeah, I love this episode. All the meta contextual nature to it, with cartoon characters working on their own cartoon.
Oh yeah.
It does play as like a good season 1 ender. Either incidentally or intentionally. I think it works really well in that regard. It's a lot of fun, and I don't know. There's a lot of it really works.
Yeah, it is. I do really enjoy the meta nature of this episode, and like some of this stuff could like even be seen to like even relevant to this day almost for some of the stuff they mention in this episode. It's like it's just a lot. It's just a lot of fun, as you mentioned. The meta nature is fun and everything. The cartoon characters working on a cartoon, everything. So, being an animation nerds or geeks ourselves, it's really fun. All right, so I just want to get into. Well, we actually have some comments up front. We have Code Diaz here. I hope you guys are having a great day. Seems like we reached the end of season 1. Yep, that is correct. And LAB, it just got up and danced away.
It got up and danced away.
Yep, we'll get to that. Like, so, Dragon, where do you want to start?
Well, first off, answer me a question.
Yeah.
When they made this episode, did they when they're making Phineas and Ferb? At what point did they get the renewal news that they knew they were coming back for season 2? Like, you got to imagine at the beginning of this, they imagine let's just do some fun cartoons and just see where it goes. And at a certain point, they knew where it was going to go. When?
Well, like the thing is, like it's not the actual renewal date isn't known, but the season 2 was officially announced in 2008, in April 2008. So I'm assuming it came out. I'm assuming they actually renewed it. Probably midway through, most likely midway through season 1. And
well,
yeah, go on.
I ask because I just gotta wonder, is given the meta contextual nature of this episode, if it is like they knew, either they did not know they were coming back, or it's like, I always want to end it in kind of a fun way, or if it was like sort of thing like, okay, if we have one last Phineas and Ferb story, could this be it? Like, not saying they knew it was a necessarily finale, but like, we don't know if we're going to get renewed or not, so we want to end on something. It's kind of a soft ending.
I said that's entirely possible. Like I said, unfortunately, not a lot of background information or commentaries exist for this. Like, we don't have the exact like dates of like when they renewed it, other than like it was announced in April 2008.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about.
And like I said, the original airing schedule doesn't go by what we're doing here. For those of you that may have guessed, we're doing this based on their production order as it's listed on Disney Plus. As you know, who watched it in real time, the actual airing order was vastly different from the actual intended production schedule. So there's also that to take into account, like how they like spread out the airings and everything too.
All right. So let's talk about Lawrence.
Yes. We learned Lawrence had a favorite cartoon growing up.
Yes, it was Captain Implausible from the Pinhead Pierre show.
I love Pinhead Pierre.
Yes, voiced by the wonderful John DiMaggio.
Exactly. It's like there's a lot of fun stuff in that, and like one thing that I learned when doing research on is apparently the bears chasing the kids are like references to the Bible, to like the King James Bible, or like very similar anyway. It's like, you know what I'm talking about? It's
What?
like apparently there's a passage in the King James Bible that goes, and he turned back and looked at them and cursed them in the name of the Lord, and then came forth 2 she-bears out of the wood and tear 42 children of them. And there are 2 bears that chase after the kids in this episode, in the intro.
Right.
Like I said, I don't know if that's an intentional reference or just a coincidence, but apparently, it's something I found doing my research on this episode. And Code Diaz has some praise for John DiMaggio, one of the busiest voice actors. It feels like he's been in a majority of cartoons from the last 2 decades. And technically, he does appear at least a couple more times in this show. But so, Greg, what are your thoughts on Pinhead Pierre?
Well, it's a very unique design. I'm convinced that he's a nod to Pee Wee Herman.
I mean, that is entirely possible. I mean, even though Pee Wee Herman is actually, real life is actually real versus Pinhead Pierre actually being a cartoon in universe.
Yeah, I mean the idea. Pee Wee Herman did have like a few, kind of animated in unconventional sense. Animated in like, we had a little bit of stop claymation, I believe.
Yep, I still can't believe that's where Lawrence Fishburne got his big start.
Oh yeah, Cowboy Curtis.
I like Cowboy Cookie better.
Right. So, but yeah, it's kind of like a nod to, it's a little reminder of that, but for me, to the core of my nostalgia, it's a little Kablam-esque. Kablam was, was an animated show that was, that was basically, kind of a variety show in animated form, which was quite delightful and kind of showcased a bunch of shorts and different animation styles, and it was great. So it was like kind of taking a cue from that.
That's one of the things we discussed during our '90s ranking podcast. Like that was like one of your top ones, wasn't it?
It was up there, yeah.
It's like I have yet to watch that. I know it's on Paramount Plus. I believe it is anyway.
Yeah. All right. So,
but yet watching this, they witness the adventures of Captain Implausible.
Mr. Implausible.
I know I slip of the tongue. Can you blame
Captain,
me?
darn it.
Captain I know how much you like Captain superheroes with the name Captain.
Respect the captain.
Yes.
Captain's got to teach stuff.
Yes, Dragon, I'm well aware. And I know of a future captain that you'll have an issue with in this series. Or a lack thereof.
Precisely. Oh, sure, they have that captain in there. Sure.
Yep. Pretty much.
I'm tempted to bring the banner up, but we're not going to do it right now.
Yep, we have to wait a few more years.
All right, so, yes, he's got a neat costume, the red suit and the visor.
Yep, and even his entire costume is red, even his cape and his trunks.
Did he have a cape?
I've admit, no, it's not a. No, that's not a cape.
He didn't have a cape.
Yeah, he didn't have a cape. It looked like from the angle
No
I was looking.
No capes for him.
No capes, yes. But like basically, Phineas and Ferb get the idea. Is like basically if we have basically they're like if we were cartoons, we could have any superpower we want. And that's where the meta nature of the episode begins.
Yes, well, and Pierre poses the question to the kids. Oh, he rips up like the question of the day. Doesn't even read it. It's like, what superpower if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Yep.
Also, Tall Debbie. You want every words on Tall Debbie, Jacob?
She's very tall.
That's true. Doesn't quite have the same ring as like Tall Paul.
Although they could have Tall Terry for alliteration.
Okay, anyway. So, the boys want to make their own cartoon to answer that very question.
Oh yeah.
So again, it's a very fun concept. Our cartoon characters animating a cartoon.
I mean,
Which, to be fair, yeah.
I'm saying, like, I haven't seen something this literal since the episode of Tiny Toons.
Yeah. Obviously, there's Tiny Toons. I mean, also there's like a little bit of Ren and Stimpy. It's Stimpy's cartoon.
Oh yeah, I remember. I completely forgot about Stimpy's cartoon.
Most famously, even better though. Most famously, it's Wacky Deli from Rocko's Modern Life. That's probably the best example of cartoons like painstakingly animating. Like a cartoon like in the actual style in which it would be done.
Yeah, like animation takes time.
Yep.
It's like, despite what this episode says, and obviously this episode's doing it like a tongue-in-cheek manner.
Like, did Pavenmeyer work on Rocko?
Yes, he directed. Remember he and Swampy directed Zanzibar.
Right, Zanzibar. Right. I wonder if they worked on. They didn't work on Wacky Deli, right? That Pavenmeyer wasn't there for that.
Let me double check on that. Rocko's Modern.
I am the cheese. I am the best character in the show.
Wacky Deli. Let's see. Technically, Swampy directed the episode, and Dan was one of the writers.
Hey! Well, we see where they got the inkling from.
Yeah. Let's see. Jeff Swampy and someone named Alan Smart, I think, who did a lot of work on SpongeBob, directed it.
Mm-hmm.
And that episode was written by Joe Murray, Stephen Hillenburg, Martin Olson, who also wrote a lot of this show. It also wrote this episode.
It was Jacob. It was actually a really big episode. It was a two-parter. Technically, it was a two-parter, and you had Ralph Bighead in there. The Bighead's son. It was a very. The writers, well, as you can probably guess, the writers had a blast doing that episode. So, speaking of which, Jacob, throw up the banner. Dan Swampy. You done good, boys. You done good. All right, you're it.
So I was like, like they did do quite a bit of work on both of those shows. So it is kind of interesting to like see some of the common threads between the two of those shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So, I guess maybe we should transition to the Doofenshmirtz plot.
Yep. So he's like, so what is going on with Doofenshmirtz, Dragon?
He's got the Dancinator.
It's like, well, what happens? Like the evil powers of dance. And Carl can't get the timing right.
Yes. Oh god. Oh boy. Just the fact that Carl's getting on Monogram's last nerve here. Just like Carl just can't get the timing right, and it just makes you want. You know what it makes you want to say?
I can only imagine what it makes you want to say, and I got it right here.
Dang it, Carl! You know what? I think Monogram's had up to here with Carl. I think we should consider, in the day and age of recastings and such, we should consider which Carl would have the best timing for this little dance kind of thing.
There's always the easy answers of the robot and Carlson.
I would say Carl from Johnny Bravo. Actually, I think he had good timing.
Yeah, I mean, his best friend is look at who his best friend is. So
yeah, exactly. Like, dance, Johnny.
Oh God.
Also, you know what? I'm going to throw this in there too. Carlos, Magic School Bus. I think he'd have good, good timing on this dance gag.
I mean, possibly. Right. While he's not too busy cracking puns.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, everyone else is like perfect unison. They say Carlos. Maybe it would stem from him a little bit there. Maybe he'd have good timing on that for a change. What does Code Geass say in this Carl debate?
Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force is the best. Unfortunately, I have not seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force, even though I do know it's getting either has gotten or is getting a new movie, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, so Doofenshmirtz has the Dancinator. which we exposit thanks to Monogram and Carl with the evil power
Dance.
of dance.
And
Early.
no one's defeated evil while dancing.
Well, again, this is pre Guardians of the Galaxy.
That is true.
I think technically the gag here is in reference to Footloose, but still, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I mean, when I watched that, I was like yeah, except Footloose.
And Guardians of the Galaxy. But at this time, Footloose.
I mean, this episode did come out in 2008, which is like before they even bought Marvel in the first place.
Exactly. So you're right. Footloose is definitely, But again, Peter Quill loves Footloose. So, Kevin Bacon saved the galaxy.
Kevin Bacon saved the galaxy by dancing.
And Christmas.
And also Christmas, yes.
I just love Kevin Bacon walking anywhere. Like, hey, you know who that is? That's Kevin Bacon. He saved the galaxy by dancing. And Christmas.
And Christmas, too, yeah. Not many people can say they saved Christmas by dancing.
Yep.
All right, so the funny thing is, Doofenshmirtz been making his Dance-inator is actually just trying to find a way to dry his clothes.
I love that. I love the idea he just happened upon this. When his clothes started dancing, and then you have the repairman.
I was like, I can't stop.
The great D. Bradley Baker.
Yep, who also, as we also know, is doing the vocals of Perry.
Yep.
So I was like, it's like, I can't stop. I can't stop dancing. It's like, and he just locks him in the closet again.
Now here's the question.
Yes.
Is Doofenshmirtz feeding that man?
Well, I mean, maybe he ate before he came. He probably hasn't been there long.
But what's going to happen? Is he? Well, I think even if he ate beforehand, how long has he been there?
That is a good question. And dancing does take up a lot of energy.
Yeah. Okay, Jacob, throw up the other banner.
The other banner.
Gritty reboot time. So, theory. Doofenshmirtz, he fires upon this hapless repairman, poor soul that he is, and he's in the closet, and he's dancing like crazy. Thankfully he had a big breakfast, but he's gonna burn off some calories, and after one day he'll be in tremendous shape, but at the day 3 mark he will be in utter agony. It's going to be a question of. Remind me, where are we at Doofenshmirtz's house this episode?
Yeah, well, basically, he lives at the lab. Basically, he lives in the building.
Okay, so I mean, what the odds are going to Doofenshmirtz actually is there, but still, it's a question of if Doofenshmirtz did forget, or if he just chose evilly, I'm not going to feed you. Says, boy, no, you got to feed me, please. Days will go by, he'll be starving to death, but still keeping in tune. Then eventually, he'll be a dancing corpse.
Even his bones will be dancing.
Yeah.
I do I didn't make a retcon here. How do you think they got the skeletons to dance at skeleton dance?
Hey.
It's like they zapped him with the inator. That's exactly what he did. That old Disney cartoon. That's exactly how they got the skeletons to dance.
And here's kind of a half-hearted actual suggestion for the revival. You don't need the banner for this. For the revival, what if the Dance-inator was repurposed in a Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel crossover in which they're going up against Ronan the Accuser, and they fire it on him and he's dancing like I can't hit the hammer, I'm dancing.
I mean, as cool as it went to do another crossover in that scope, I'm not sure if they do another Marvel one. But I mean that would be pretty cool though. Got to admit.
Yeah. So let's see.
Meanwhile, the boys are building their studio in the backyard.
So there's kind of a nice commentary going on here about computer animation, using the computers to animate versus the old school hand-drawn animation. Now, I know technically we're not doing CG here, but still I think maybe the parallels can be
I mean,
Can
this
be.
show. I mean, this show itself was animated on computers.
Yes, Jake. Yeah.
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 The funny thing is, like, Dan himself actually kind of prefers like digital drawing over pencil and paper. Dan is left-handed, so as you can imagine, it creates a lot of issues when trying to draw. So he's actually like released a video saying he prefers like drawing on computers and things like that, and because it's easier to fix your mistakes.
Anyway, my point is that yes, Jacob. While we do animate on computer now directly, even for hand drawn stuff, which definitely fits in exactly everything you just mentioned. I'm saying also maybe there is a bit of a parallel, especially around. I mean, around this point in time, like you do have like we are kind of coming out of the the big like we're around Wally at this point. We are coming off the heels of the big CG kind of 2D kind of debate that gone on for a while. We're kind of with the whole like how the industry kind of changed and very much like 2D theatrically was kind of out, and right now the only 2D we're really getting is on the small screen. Now, to be fair though, we've been drawing on computers, for a while. Like you look at Batman Beyond, they made the shift then from cell animated to drawing directly the cleaned up style, like drawing directly on the via the computer, via the tablets or what have you.
Yeah, so, like I had no idea that Batman Beyond actually had like computer animation like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. By season 2 of like the halfway point of season 2 of Batman Beyond is when they started. That's why Return of the Joker looks as crisp as it does. That was done, kind of like on the computer.
I mean, I knew some of the backgrounds were CG, or at least like drawn that way, but I had no idea the rest of the show was too.
No. Well, again, I'm not. Well, I guess technically, I don't know. The whole like when you say CG, obviously I'm thinking computer, like full on computer animation. It's like that, not really, but just the fact it's just drawn digitally on the thing. So in that sense, yes, computer.
I mean, heck, I know that Mask of the Phantasm had CG.
Well, it did
for the buildings. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, for the buildings, and then like for like some of the shots in Sub-Zero, but it's not a thing they like regularly. They regularly did all the time. Like Batman Beyond didn't really incorporate that, but they did use it for they used it for like later stuff like Under the Red Hood. We have like that's when we incorporate the CG vehicles and everything.
Yeah, because CG vehicles are actually are somehow easier to animate in a 2D space.
Yeah.
Because then drawing the different parts of the vehicle.
So Phineas and Ferb's the animation studio. We have this really nice little animation studio that they're building, and we have we have this recurring cameo of the giant baby head.
Like the baby head, and did you also notice that Biff was in there too?
Yep.
It's like, yeah, that was just another random goldfish.
I like to think it's Biff.
Yeah, me too.
Regardless, it's kind of like here's the thing. I really connected with this episode with the animation studio the boys are building because one, it feels kind of like an equivalent to the old Mickey Rooney, like my uncle's got a barn, let's put on a show. In this case, let's put on an animated show. Let's build an animation studio in our backyard. It's so quaint. On the flip side, though, I mean, it does kind of make me nostalgic because one of my favorite attractions from I guess now Disney Hollywood Studios, then MGM, but the point being, in Florida, was the Art of Animation exhibit.
Like, is that the one where they actually animated the movies too?
I mean, I believe so. You could see there was like one office remaining when they kind of turned it into an exhibit. At a certain point they did, but at a certain point I think they stopped doing it.
Because I know there are quite a few movies that they made in like the 2000s that were animated in Florida.
Yes.
Like Lilo and Stitch probably being the most famous example.
Yeah. So yeah, I always loved it was the highlights of going to Hollywood Studios, and I love that exhibit. So this kind of takes me back to like being inside the animation studio, at least kind of the mock-up of the animation studio.
Unfortunately, I don't think I went there when that was there.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, though, I went there the last year the Great Movie Ride was open. So
yep.
That's kind of sad.
It is. Yeah, it's very tragic.
Yeah, it is. Even though Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is a fun ride. It is kind of sad to see a bit that contained all that film history gone.
Yep. Here, let's see. So we have this fun kind of like a spoof on the on how the animation process works. So the fact that like, oh, it's just really we're just building the exterior, and so we just need the computers really to make it all happen. So they go inside. We have like basically an equivalent to a server farm, and basically more of like a conveyor belt process that leads to somewhat of a server farm.
The fun fact is that this actual show, the average episode took about 9 months to make.
Well, that's the standard in hand drawn animation, particularly. I mean, animation in general, but I guess specifically, all the examples I would ever think of usually is kind of 2D animated. So based on that 9 months, like you look at Korra and Batman the animated series, it's a 9-month process.
Yeah. Like from basically the beginning of the writing and storyboarding stages to the finished animation.
Yeah, again, the old shorthand is it's like having a little baby. Each episode's a baby.
Dan and Swami basically exactly use the term. It's like having a baby every week.
And boy, are they tired.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
It's like I just love like the whole process. Like it's like they like provide the samples, and then it's like going through the writers, which is a bunch of monkeys.
Don't forget the chickens.
And monkeys, chickens, and a goldfish.
No, I mean we have like chickens doing chicken scratch. So we have the initial the idea, and then they sketch it up a little, with the chicken scratch.
The storyboard artists.
Yep, storyboard artists, and then that goes to the writers.
And they're like monkeys and other animals on typewriters.
Yep.
And then it goes to the directors or the animatron, and it's just like, what is this? But this doesn't even make sense. Basically,
we have like the go on.
Like basically, it's kind of like also making fun of like the executives that don't understand the art.
Yeah, the Executron is just giving out notes, and the Artbot is addressing the notes and like begging, no more notes, no more notes. So this is really great, just kind of like a fun, just kind of spoof of like it's kind of a behind the scenes and kind of fun commentary on like one, it's kind of a fun meta thing of like the Executrons like executives, but also to some degree kind of what we're doing here is like no more notes, no notes,
no more messages.
And on the flip side, you have like it's just the Artbot being like the struggling artist, just like, oh god, the notes are killing me. So then it goes to timing.
Yeah.
Early timing was I gotta admit, timing's a bit of a thinker of a joke, the way that works.
Like, explain it.
Why don't you explain it?
I mean, I don't exactly remember. I don't exactly know how to explain it.
That's what I'm saying. It's really. I'm saying, Jacob, I don't fully get it. It's just we have like these ritualistic looking guys just kind of like standing around with these shreds of paper.
Like, oh yeah. Yeah, no, that really doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean,
yes,
in real life, I mean, timing is like usually involving like timing like sound effects and voices and things like that when they're matching the animation and things like that, if I remember correctly, or at least timing everything to match the length of the episode.
Well, yeah, I just don't get how that equates to like just kind of people standing around the shreds of paper.
I think that part's just meant to be random.
Okay. So then we have, let's see, so the shreds then go to animatic. Now, okay, to be fair, though, the animatic phase, I think everything was good until we got to those guys standing around until the timing department. But by that juncture, then we enter like, okay, I get we just want a really cool visual right now to show things, but no animatic is that polished. Let's be honest. The animatic's never that polished.
Well, I mean, they of all people would know.
They would. That's what I'm saying. That was just a leap because they just wanted to show what the characters look like for the introduction process. Like, no. They would have been black and white and maybe a little rougher. That's the animatic process.
I mean, basically the animatics are storyboard, or basically what we like the storyboard sketches, but without all the instructions and dialogue on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like for those of you out there that don't exactly know.
Yeah.
But I mean, they actually do get the process. Actually, do get to explain the process in in a way that's somewhat easy to follow. I mean, like it's somewhat easy to follow, and obviously condense it from like 9 months to like just a couple minutes.
Isabella, Baljeet, and Buford show up, and Buford starts by saying,
"What you doing?"
Isabella quickly elbows him in the ribs, like, "What you doing?" Buford's like later perturbed by this, like, Isabella, what was it with the whole "what you doing"? We'll talk later.
Yep, there's only two people allowed to say it in her presence.
Yep.
Herself and obviously Phineas.
Yep.
She doesn't really have any issue when he doesn't, as you've noticed.
Oh yeah.
Like sometimes she can sense it when other people do it, but usually if someone's around her does it and she gets bothered.
So let's see. So we have Ferb demonstrating. This is a really cute joke. Just the idea that back in the early days of animation, for the sounds, you had for the not scratch. Scratch is well.
Scratch voices. I think scratch voices are like temporary voices.
I know that. But I'm saying like. Did we also
like,
use scratch for the term of like what we use for like the sound, gathering the sounds, or was that something else?
I thought that was more like considered Foley.
There you go, Foley. Yes, the Foley guys.
I mean, they say because Foley artists, like they create sounds like based on stuff that you wouldn't expect. Like, it's not like for example, like in a lot of classic movies, the sound of thunder is actually the sound of a sheet of metal being struck.
Exactly. So, well, more like kind of being waved around, but yeah,
it's like being struck, waved around. Like I said, we both watched the special features on Wall-E, which talked about how the sound design.
And speaking of which, that does kind of bring about like the balloon thing here. Where back in the early days, they used balloons for a number of sound effects, but maybe not as many sound effects as Ferb is able to get out of it.
I mean, he said like whistle. He got all kinds of whistles. He got bouncy sound effects. He got I think he got like hammer and anvil sound effects out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, well, he's Ferb. What do you expect?
It was a good joke.
Exactly. The question is it funnier if you actually know how that stuff works, or is it funny, or is it just about the same if you know how it works?
I don't know. Maybe both.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
all right. So we pose the question to the rest of the gang. What power or gimmick would they want?
It's like Isabella becomes the Rainbow. Buford becomes Belch Man.
What about Baljeet?
Hanuman Man.
Yep. What power would you want?
That is actually a good question. I never really thought about it myself. I mean, flying is so cliche. I did that, so I wouldn't want that one. Invisibility, even like probably super speed. If I think about it. What about you?
Well, first and foremost, I need a healing factor.
Well, of course, but it's a superpower, not multiple superpowers.
I know that's the thing. But I mean, look, if I was given like, hey, you can only get one power. What do you get? Well, healing factor. Give me the healing factor.
Like everybody gets one.
That's what I'm saying. If I can only pick one, I'm picking the healing factors from a practical standpoint. But if I had to pick a dazzling power, if healing factor were off the table, and you had to pick a fantastic one. I mean, it's kind of hard to think of it. But what?
I don't think healing factor would be off the table. I mean, there's a lot of heroes out there that are just healers.
That's what I'm saying.
But the dazzling one?
The dazzling one might be ability to time manipulation.
No, that would be pretty interesting.
Maybe not something as extreme as like full-on time travel, because then you have a whole bunch of ethical things. And then you mess, but time manipulation, or time dilation, if you have dilation with necessarily quantific. Sometimes dilation's like just when you have skips in time. So I mean, it'd be essentially pausing time and skips in time and stuff like that. So maybe rewinding time sort of thing, but not full-on.
You mean kind of like when Dormammu have come to bargain?
Pretty much.
All right. So kind of
like a measured time travel of some sort. Let's say the most that could be pushed would be you go forward months. Basically, you go forward, but you can't really change things. I don't know. Again, point is maybe a minimal rewind probably best.
But yeah, because going to the future, not being able to change, is like what would be coming, but you'd be unable to stop it.
Yeah.
That sounds more like a curse than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, of course, Ferb just becomes the guy handy with tools, Ferb guy, and Phineas becomes Multi-Man. Together they are Team Improbable.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I wonder if it's an intentional reference to The Incredibles or anything like that.
Nah.
If
anything, it's a reference to Kim Possible with the whole Team Impossible thing.
Oh, that's also.
You remember that episode, don't you?
I remember majority of Kim Possible. Yes.
Yeah. Hell.
I remember also Team Go.
Let me ask you this: between Team Go, Team Impossible, what did you like?
It's like you mean the two in that show?
Yeah.
It's actually hard to choose. I mean, there was that one episode where Team Go went bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess I don't even remember much about actually Team Impossible.
Team Impossible, I love that. There's like three. They're like three Shield commandos practically, but like super buff, but like one of them's an accountant.
So if anything, I'd probably go with Team Go.
All right.
What would you go with in that case? I guess
I don't know. I gotta be honest. Here's the thing: Team Impossible is really funny to me, but no, if I had to pick, it's probably gonna be Team Go.
Plus Aviarius is a hilarious villain.
He is.
Richard Horvitz. I mean, their villain is Richard Horvitz. How can you go wrong?
Yep.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I don't think ever guest stars in this show.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I don't think he's ever been in Phineas and Ferb.
Oh.
Which is a shame, really.
Yep.
Anyway, but they're not the only ones to get scanned into the cartoon. They also ask Candace to take part. And she inadvertently creates her own character. The Control Freak.
Yep, not the Teen Titans version.
No, this one's much better than that one.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, the original version of that guy was good, but then,
Well, I mean, some people think even like, what do you mean the original? Like the one in the 2005 show?
Yeah, honestly.
Or like the comics, or was he even in the comics?
No. I mean the original. I mean the TV show.
I mean, what else did he do in the original series anyway?
What do you mean the original 05 show?
Yes.
Now you got me questioning if it was 05 or 04 because I'm thinking it was 04.
Like, well, the original series then.
Fine, the original. See, now I'm sorry. Now I got my ears straight. Point being, the original show, he had like, if I remember, Control Freak. I know he had his big introduction episode. I'm trying to remember if they brought him back for a second episode or not.
I mean, his first episode was like Fear Itself, where like after beating.
Oh, right, yeah. So he was in there twice then. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Like where they rent the scary movie and it turns out to be Raven's fault.
Right. But yeah, you say he was in more than one. But yeah, so the fact his big episode where he sucked him into the TV was great.
All right. I haven't gotten that far in my rewatch yet.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think the thing is, yeah, it was 03 or 04 is when Teen Titans happened. I think it was 03 now that I think about it.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I think, Evan, anyway.
I thought it was 05.
That thing, you really threw me off, though. I just for the life of me, I can't place what the year was on that. I just don't. It's between 03 and 05. And then
you're right. It was 03.
It was 03?
Yes.
Yeah, because that sounds right.
Yep, it was 03.
Okay, yeah. Code Geass says Control Freaks and Teen Titans Go a lot. Yeah, that's the thing. Initially, it was like, hey, Control Freak. And then it's like, oh, man, he's really overstayed as well. I mean, yes, we need people to call out how bad that team is in that show, but it's like, that's not really, After a while, it just gets like, what's the point now? We have the Scooby Gang and all now. We don't need this. All right. So, let's see. Point being, we have our lineup, and Candace, basically her just like denouncing the production, gets recorded and everything. It ends up being in the final product. That's great.
It's like that's why we call her One Take Flynn.
Yeah.
Of course, Phineas has no idea that she's just doing it for real instead of just. I mean, I guess you could say she really got into her role.
Real quick,
Yeah, go on.
With the Doofenshmirtz plot, I just want to mention, I love that Doofenshmirtz had like this cutout of himself from the magazine from like, what is it? What's the evil magazine called?
Evil Dance Magazine, I think. What was it?
The Evil Beat magazine.
Evil Beat. Yeah.
The Evil Beat magazine had like, it cost a lot of money to print.
Yep.
Like cost through his own cardboard standee.
It's like, I mean, it is a pretty nice standee though.
No, it is. It is. He got his money worth. He got his money's worth on that.
And of course, Perry just had to ruin it.
Yep. Anyway, so also I love the fact that his Dance-inator has legs so it can dance away.
After it gets reflected in a mirror.
Yep.
As you've noticed, there's a lot of mirrors and stuff in this show.
Oh yeah.
That's like one of the most common things in this show. It's like, if there's a beam, it's usually going to bounce off a satellite or off a mirror.
Yep. Barry the Platypus, you just defeated evil with dance. Curse you, Barry the Platypus.
It's like, as you notice, like Doofus was actually doing the Macarena while he was like dancing. It's like, dancing is evil. Isn't that like literally the exact opposite message of Footloose?
It's a good point. Yeah, I guess the dancing is not evil according to Footloose.
Yeah, but I mean, and now we know it's definitely not evil because like
it is evil in Spider-Man 3 though.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's just more egotistical than evil.
I'm just saying, if he for all we know, had he kept dancing, he would have become Venom. It's possible.
It is possible. Maybe it's probable.
Eddie, I want to go dancing. No, we don't. We need to go dancing. No, we're going dancing, Eddie.
Well, remember, Dragon. In Let There Be Carnage, he actually went to a club.
Oh god, yeah, that whole.
The Venom symbiote actually went to a rave.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not actually far off.
That's true. He didn't really dance in that rave though. But,
I know.
He did a mic drop though.
I know. He was just more pissed at Eddie. He did technically go to a rave.
Yep.
All tall, dark, and gruesome, and nobody batted an eye.
Yep.
Oh god, that movie's insane.
I really hope Mrs. Chen comes back for the third Venom movie.
Well, we saw her in Spider-Verse.
That's what I'm saying. They got to bring her back, right?
Hopefully. I mean, if they bring her back for Across the Spider-Verse, then maybe they'll bring her back in Venom.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, back to these. So they have the screening in which Phineas and Ferb are in like a giant, or in the giant, Pinhead Pierre costume.
It helps that Phineas's head kind of is pointy.
Yep. All right, let's see. So they introduced the cartoon. The cartoon looks really good. It's basically Phineas and Ferb with an anime influence.
Yeah, it is. Like all the information things are basically ripped out of like shoujo and shonen manga, shonen anime.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, like Sailor Moon is like the one that comes to mind.
I mean, look, shonen anime rocks. I love shonen anime.
I mean, I do too. I mean, I like shonen and shoujo.
Yeah. So also,
I know you're like a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, especially.
Well, Dragon Ball, but yes, I like all the Dragon Ball stuff, but primarily Ball's my favorite. Z is the runner-up, but yeah.
Okay, so you prefer the first Dragon? Okay.
I will always take it. Given that question, I will always take Dragon Ball over all the rest.
I actually need to watch through Dragon Ball.
I'm saying Dragon Ball is delightful. I mean,
I know from what I've seen from I've gotten like through the first arc against Emperor Pilaf.
Again, it is admittedly though going back to Dragon Ball, you see it in its purest form, which you should. Few things don't hold up in regards to Master Roshi and and Bulma, but again, it was you kind of need it. You kind of do. It's what is I don't know. The world is not a sanitary place all the time. Sometimes you need to address. Yeah, the dirty old man trope had to come from somewhere. It did. It had to.
Yeah, but he can still kick any character's butt.
That's the thing. So it's
And apparently he's like lived so long. I think he's. I wouldn't say he's earned it, but he's definitely probably wanted it at that point.
Plus, I mean, it's going to sound crass, but for the kids watching Dragon Ball like myself, Bulma, we gotta need a little bit of eye candy sometimes. We kind of do. Sad truth of the matter,
Yep.
Again, when you're a kid watching, you don't think about, man, I wonder how years later this is going to hold up. It's like, yeah, I was just really in the moment. I didn't really think about any of that. For the girl with blue hair, I didn't really overthink that.
I didn't, obviously I didn't watch that, didn't see that until I was a lot older, so I was like, oh my.
So yeah, that one scene that we're not going to go into detail with right now, but yeah, that would not fly today.
Probably not.
Anyway.
But it's like, we should really do something about Dragon Ball stuff.
I know, it's just there's a lot of Dragon Ball. That's the only thing that's stopping us.
I know. There's a lot of content, a lot of movies, and a lot of manga.
Yeah, there's a lot. All right, so...
Point
being, you have the screening goes well. It's a great little anime influence in the style. And then
Candace is kind of offended that they made her the villain.
Oh gee, I wonder why.
it's like, and people start like, boo! They're like, she's the villain. Like, throw tomatoes at her.
Well, for some reason they all have tomatoes.
That's an old classic trope.
I know it is. It's like the trope.
It's like the classic. It's like classic vaudeville. Even that means they love you. Really? It's like everybody loves a hero, but like a hero is a hero, but everybody loves a great villain. Which true. Sometimes the villains are the more memorable characters in some cases. Like love feels a lot like tomatoes. So, of course, Candace doesn't really feel the love. She just feels a bunch of tomatoes being thrown at her constantly.
Anyway, so, of course, Mom shows up, and how do we get rid of it, Jacob?
Well, first off, what happens is, over at Doofenshmirtz, Perry is dancing in a conga line with the Dance-inator, and basically Dan has him congo off the side of the building. So technically, Perry becomes the first person to defeat evil by dancing, apparently in universe. Because Footloose apparently doesn't exist in the world of Phineas and Ferb.
Yep.
But not before it fires off a beam, which ends up hitting the studio and the screen, and it just gets up and dances away.
Also, the crowd got hit by it too. They got up and danced away.
Yes, everything just
got up
and danced away.
Okay, now here's what I love this episode. You have to cry foul one. It's a little easy. It's a little of all the times. And I know obviously we've stretched it further in other places, but literally, and the fact that we have a gag to call this out, it got up and danced away. It's just the fact that of all the way, it's seeing the screen and the whole animation studio just boogieing away, and it's like, man, that's I'm watching this episode. I did not expect it to go in that direction at all. I did not expect that to be our how we're going to get rid of it thing.
As I mentioned, it's as I've mentioned before, sometimes the way they get rid of clean this stuff up is sometimes a lot of the fun of watching this. So you never know how these things are going to intersect.
Yep.
It's like Code Geass has this take. Candace is the true hero. There are several arguments that she and Doofenshmirtz are the main characters of this show.
Well, the next episode puts that to the test.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, this episode is a lot of fun. So, and
one side note, Buford charging admission was really good gag.
It's you made a killing. We weren't charging admission. What you gonna do? Phineas apparently learned his lesson from the roller coaster. he didn't remember because they say we should have charged more. Apparently he's grown past that and no longer charges for their inventions.
Yep.
So that's nice of him, but apparently that doesn't stop Buford. And who knows where the money went afterwards. But the thing is, animation is all time consuming and expensive.
that brings us to Hail Doofania.
Yes. And this and in a rare twist, as far as at least this season goes, it actually begins at
Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. Ah.
Yes, it actually begins there for a change.
Yeah, so we flip perspectives here. Now here's the thing. This is a fun experimental episode of sorts in role reversal where you can kind of see them kind of really. I imagine we're going to maybe do this more as the series goes on. Is that a fair assessment?
I mean, not in this sense. I mean, we don't really have Phineas and Ferb building innators and stuff like this in a way. But
well, I mean, do we have Doofenshmirtz in the main focus?
Yes, there are quite a few episodes where Doofenshmirtz becomes like the focal point of an episode.
So I mean, I think there's some kind of fun there. It still feels like in the early building blocks of it because there's still a little, well, not trial and error. Because I don't think anything egregiously goes wrong in this episode. You can definitely feel that they're trying something out here, seeing how it feels, and it's nice.
The thing is, I mean, there's like nothing. I mean, there are episodes where he's like more of the main character than the rest of the ones are, but there's none of them that are quite as like as blatant of a role reversal as this one is.
Right.
Like so, this is the episode where Roger officially becomes mayor.
Yeah.
It's like he becomes Mayor Roger Doofenshmirtz.
Yep.
A position that he holds for the rest of the show. Because, 4 years don't. 4 seasons may pass, but 4 years don't. Isn't that how often mayors get elected? 4 years?
Honestly, I don't know. I know it's presidents, but
okay. How often?
Okay, I don't think we need to stop the show to figure out the mayor thing.
All right, I know. But basically, obviously, Doofenshmirtz is basically seething at the fact that his brother gets elected, has been elected mayor. It's like, he's so handsome and law-abiding and reputable. Ah!
And we have a lot of Norm. Hey, Norm! We got a lot of Norm in this episode. Norm the robot. Let's talk about the scaling of Norm, by the way, because here, pretty tall, but not as tall. I feel as he was in the I'm blanking on the episode, the one where Perry Plasses was riding around in him.
The traffic cam caper.
Yeah. It's not exactly as big as Norm was in the traffic cam caper.
Yeah, it's like his size varies.
Yeah, it's a little inconsistent. Like, you know what, Jake? Throw the message.
Message.
Yep. Boys, what happened? We were patting you on the back, and now you go and do this with poor Norm. I mean, it's already one thing that you have Norm sometimes being able to pilot and sometimes being a robot. You know what, guys? If you're gonna have a giant robot sidekick, you gotta be consistent with the size. I mean, we literally have him big enough to rip the roof off of the Flint house, and now he's he's tall. He's like this. He's like Brad Garrett on steroids. It's like, come on, guys.
It's like LEB episode ruined. A little over dramatic.
See, you made LEB cry, Swampy. I'm looking at you, Swampy. Don't look away. Look at LEB. You ruined her, Swampy.
Good day, sir.
All right.
I think we also have Wonka on our brain.
We do.
Anyway. Unfortunately, I can't find the either movie on any streaming service.
Well, Jacob, you sure the original's not on HBO Max?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain. Last time I checked.
I mean, it was there all the time, and so now if it's gone, it's just kind of weird.
I mean, the original one was changed to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
That's what I mean. Willy, yes, Willy, the one with Gene Wilder. Is the Gene Wilder one on HBO Max?
Well, I typed Willy Wonka, and the first thing that pops up is Wizard of Oz.
That's weird. I don't. That's the thing. They keep the streaming contracts in it because I see Charlie and Chocolate Factory keep going between Netflix and HBO and Netflix and HBO. It's just going all over the place. So I don't know.
Unfortunately, I don't have any copies of either movie. So.
Well, okay. Come on, man. How do you not own a copy of Willy Wonka?
I used to have the VHS.
Really, you never bought the DVD?
No, unfortunately not.
Plus, it has commentary and a whole bunch of features, man. It's cool.
Unfortunately, it's not at my local video store either.
Anyway,
I mean,
so
yes, I know it's a tragedy.
yeah.
At least because I was kind of hoping it'd be on at least one streaming service.
Well, even so, it's like own that, man.
Maybe it's on Hulu.
Well, maybe it is, but still, go on, man. Give Wonka your money.
I'll give Wonka my money.
Give the good Wonka your money, though.
Yes. But anyway,
So
we already did a chocolate factory this season.
yeah, we did. All right, so let's see. So we have this great gag of the whole aren't you a little old to be building a fort? No, I'm not.
Well, first off, we get Norm asking, "What you doing?"
What does it look like I'm doing?
Like, what am I doing? What does it look like?
It is priceless having Doofenshmirtz in these tongue-in-cheek meta setups of like, okay, so he's in they're in the Phineas and Isabella kind of rigmarole right here. That's great.
Yeah, it is great.
All right, so Doofenshmirtz is building an evil country.
Well, yes, like he even built a scale model
With felt.
He had a lot of felt.
I love this, Jacob. I love this little model of Doofania. I want this little model of Doofania. I love it.
Are you a sucker for like scale models of things?
I am a sucker for models. Yes, little scale models of things. Yes.
I know you like to I know you like to collect a lot of stuff. So
I do. I don't have the room to collect models, but I'm envious of the folks that are lucky enough to. I mean, the closest thing I have is I have like the little micro. I don't know if it's specifically Micronauts. It might be an offshoot Micronauts, but like the Batman the Animated Series Micronauts-esque stuff that they put out. Like, yeah.
And I found another blasphemer.
I'm guilty of not knowing. But Gias. Why? Oh. Like not any copy of it. You give me Blu-ray. I'm just saying I threw out DVD. That's what I have. But it's like nothing.
Unfortunately, and not all of us are like our lucky dragon.
Yeah, but it's like, all right. Anyway, get it for like $5, so like a bargain bin. So guys, come on.
Would you be fine with us like buying it off of Amazon or something, or like
just own the movie, man.
Like renting the digital version.
Well, I mean, I'm saying you guys have like cool features and stuff. You should own it. Don't leave it to chance.
I mean, remember some of the Amazon stuff like actually have the bonus features that play after the movie.
I mean, yeah, but you also get commentary, which is nice. Plus it's like all the actors from the movie on the commentary.
All right.
Well, everyone but Gene, all the kids growing up, so it's them reflecting on. I don't know.
It's a retrospective.
Sure.
Does that call for? No, that doesn't. That doesn't call for anything.
Yeah. So, let's see. So, I love the little felt model. It's overall.
It's like, what do you think of like the actual country itself once it's built?
Okay, I mean, in concept, it's a really delightful idea, but it's when you really look at it, it's like that was a really stupid idea that he put it on like a rubber raft.
Yeah, that is. I mean, what do you expect? It's Doofenshmirtz.
I mean, I see for transportation purposes, the fact that he made it out of such flimsy plastic, it's like what a doof.
What a doof. Yes.
What a doof.
What a doof. Yes.
Okay, so now here's the plot line I'm a little iffy on. Candace and Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Well, I'm going to shout this out just real quick, since I just made a Vanessa reference. Friend of the channel, Chris.R.Notarelli, aka Blinky500. He put out a short film, a fan film recently called I Am Kingpin. It's really good. Watch it. Okay. So, anyway, so they have a little wardrobe switcheroo from the dry cleaners. They end up in the other's outfit. So, I think Vanessa looks great in Candace's outfit. I don't know what everyone else is thinking. Personally, I think she looks great. Candace, on the other hand.
Yeah, obviously, they have different proportions.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Candace is like, it's all baggy on her and everything. And, like,
It's like,
Everyone thinks she's went goth, which I really connect that. I mean, yeah, she's wearing all black, but still, it's I don't know. Do you make the connect if you just saw Candace on the street wearing this? Would you assume, are you goth now?
maybe not.
I'm saying it's a bit of a leap.
But yeah, it's like, but yeah, with Vanessa, it's like obviously she can't pull it. Let's just say she can pull off Candace's look better than Candace can pull off her look. Like, like vice versa. They pulling each other's looks off. I mean, I think Vanessa does better with Candace's look than Candace does with Vanessa's look.
What's Vanessa want to do this episode?
Bust her dad.
Yeah.
It's like she calls her best friend. He calls her friends. Like, I can't hear myself gripe. Like, teenagers, am I right?
Yep. So of course, in parallel to what Candace usually does, Vanessa calls mom. She calls Charlene.
Like I said, this aspect of the character is pretty much dropped after this point. Like, she never really tries to bust Doofenshmirtz again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess we got it for a season, I guess.
I mean, more of their future appearances like focus more on like being father and daughter, that kind of relationship, more than just her trying to get him in trouble.
I think it just goes to show Vanessa's far more well-adjusted than Candace.
Yeah, that just probably is true.
The thing, she just spent the season on and she moved on from the old rigmarole there. It's like, hey, mom says cut dad a break, I'll give him a break.
What about the episode where she's saying the bus song? Yeah, we already covered that.
I'm saying the first season had that stuff, but it sounds like, according to my associate here, we lose that going forward.
That was an ice cream you scream. That was like we covered that earlier this season.
Yeah.
It's like meanwhile, with Lisa, the boys are having Fruity Rainbow Flakes for breakfast.
Yes, and Jay, what's on the box of the Fruity Rainbow Flakes?
A rainbow.
And
a unicorn.
So Isabella says, I've never seen one of those before in person. It's like, oh, well, let's remedy that. Boys build a Rainbow-inator.
Yes, thinking that she's never seen a rainbow before.
Of course, just keeps interrupting her, just like when she's trying to tell Phineas, like, hey, Phineas actually, oh no, this is gonna be great. Don't worry, it's gonna be nice and simple. It's like, well, yeah, that's nice, Phineas, but like, no, don't say another word. No, we got this for you. Don't worry. But Phineas, like, just watch, let me push the button, woman.
Yeah, Phineas just really he got it. Like, God, he's trying to be nice. But
I think Isabella's flattered. It feels like.
Yeah, but like, she's flattered that he's actually doing something for her sake, but obviously he's doing it in a misguided way of not actually listening to what she wants.
It's funny. There's a shorter version of this plot, I'm sure, where it's like Isabel says, "Wow, I've never seen one of these in person." Well, you can have the box. This is the version like, oh, you've never seen this brand of cereal in person before? Well, here you go. Keep it, man.
And Phineas isn't that oblivious.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very oblivious, but not that oblivious.
All right, let's see. So, what's going on with Perry this episode, Jacob?
Like, well, Perry's actually in a cone.
Why is he in a cone?
Well, the family thinks he just scratched himself too much, but in reality, his prior scuffle with Doofenshmirtz actually landed him in a sandpaper factory.
Jacob, throw up the banner.
Which one? Gritty reboot or
Gritty reboot? Throw it up.
Gritty reboot. We really need a sound cue for Gritty reboot as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, need I say more? If you just had an edit of this episode that just ended with, okay, so we don't see Perry. He's like, "Where's Perry?" And we just cut to that clip of like Doofenshmirtz and fight on that rooftop, and Perry goes to the sandpaper factory, and we see her like more of a buzz, like burn.
Step in time, this ain't.
Yep, and that's the thing. It's like, oh, we never saw him again. We saw exactly how we killed him off.
It's like, yeah, that ain't exactly step in time. Because wasn't Doofenshmirtz like using like an umbrella to fight him?
I think so.
Like, yeah, so like I said, this ain't step in time. There's no like extravagant musical number or anything like that or choreography. Nope, just Perry falling and getting shredded by sandpaper.
Yep.
It's like, code guess, Phineas and Ferb better not become gritty.
Yeah, no, we're just joking because so many other reboots take to go like the dark and gritty direction. It's just kind of a question of like, what if we knew they're doing the revival? If the revival actually turned into a gritty reboot, like a CW gritty reboot of Archie?
Or like the planned Powerpuff Girls one,
Yeah, that's the better example. Yes.
which fortunately has been canned.
Yes, there is justice.
Yes. And now Craig McCracken's doing his own reboot of it.
Good on you, Craigie. Good on you.
Yep, and I think he's also doing another reboot of Foster's too.
Yeah, we'll see how that one goes.
I like both shows, so I'm looking forward.
Well,
to
I'm saying like, I don't doubt McCracken's great. He blew us away with Kid Cosmic, so
I love a lot. I think I'm a big fan of McCracken's work.
The big question I have now is that now that McCracken's gotten a taste of like serialized storytelling, if he'll apply that to these revivals of these shows, which could make him really stand out, really special.
He tried to do like some form of serialized storytelling in Wander Over Yonder. So
as I'm saying, he's been on that kick, and now this will be him like fusing what he's learned in Kid Cosmic and with Wander Over Yonder.
It's like Wander Over Yonder was like seriously shafted, like unfairly shafted.
That's the thing. Presumably, these returns of these shows will be a more targeted number of episodes, so it might have like a flow like Kid Cosmic, but it'll be like kind of a more of a show. Like
I will say, I will still say this: like, Wander Over Yonder didn't get the justice it deserved.
Yeah.
Like, have you watched Wander Over Yonder?
No, not at all. No.
It's actually good, pretty good. Like, and to be fair, I still haven't seen Kid Cosmic. So I guess we're both even.
Okay.
It's like
mine's a lot more achievable though.
Well, Wander Over Yonder's on Disney Plus.
Wait, how many seasons did Wander Over Yonder go for?
2.
How many episodes?
I think at least they're around over 20 per season.
Still, I think mine's still more achievable. I think.
Watching. You mean? What do you mean? What do you mean by more achievable?
In terms of like if you were to do a binge, I think Wander Over Yonder would take longer.
Probably. Kid Cosmic went for like 3 seasons, right?
Yeah, 3 seasons, but the run times were awfully short, and they were it's the episode. I'm trying to remember if it was 10-10, then 6 or not. It might have been less.
That's fair. So it would be. So yeah.
It was like 20-minute run. Honestly, a little under 20-minute run time. So
Yes, I know, Drew. Kid Cosmic has been on my watch list, and unfortunately, I haven't watched it yet. But I know you guys keep advocating for it, and I wanted to know when you guys were doing it so I could have reason to watch it. So, but anyway, like Ellie B is like, can't wait till season 4 and there are 50 different banners.
Give it time. We got room to grow.
Yep, we just added another one today, as you noticed.
Yep.
And she's like, for real, Wander was so good.
Okay.
I really recommend it, though. Are we still on the gritty reboot, or we want to go back to?
Yeah, we're back to normal. Let's shift gears.
All right, so Perry's in a cone, and he tries to enter the secret lair.
But he can't, and he spends the whole episode trying to.
Yeah, meanwhile, I think Monogram and Carl basically going stir crazy, waiting for Perry to show up.
Monogram coming to himself, and then Carl, he's trying to sing with him a little bit. I'm a solo act, Carl, and one could say Monogram is thinking.
He is thinking. Dang it, Carl.
Dang it, Carl! I'm having a little moment here, nice little innocent little humming moment to myself. And what do? You invite yourself. You know who wouldn't invite himself?
Who?
Well, let's go with the list. Let's see. You know what? Carl Fredrickson, he wouldn't invite himself. He'd let him have his moment in the sun. He'd be in the room, but he wouldn't do anything.
They're both old gray-haired guys.
There you go. Yeah.
They both know the value and the importance of time.
Yeah.
I can't believe this episode. What year did Up come out again? 2009?
Yep.
And this actually came out the year before Up.
Anyway, so We have the Doofanian anthem.
Yeah. Like, what do you make of the Doofanian anthem?
I love it so much.
Oh yeah.
Hail Doofania! And my favorite line is founded on spite.
It's new, it's bright, and it's founded on spite.
God, I just love the idea that it's founded on spite. It's so accurate to why he built this stupid thing, but also it's just great that someone would build like a whole country just to spite somebody.
And I'm sure, I'm sure it wouldn't be the first one.
Nope.
I mean, I need to do some looking into it, but I'm sure there are probably some countries or establishments or something like that that were basically created purely out of spite for something.
We have a
else.
fictional example with Pretoria from Family Guy that was created essentially out of spite.
Yeah, all because like his land was technically not part of the United States.
And they wouldn't let him get a pool.
Yep. Like, he was originally going to call it Peterland, but that didn't work.
Nope. There's like a gay bar at the airport called Peterland.
Yeah, I didn't get that joke until somebody explained it to me.
Yep.
I was young. I was only like a young teenager when I first saw that episode. Funny enough, I don't. Anyway, so he built it on spite. Hail Doofania.
Vanessa calls her mother, and her mother says, "I'll meet you at fair." Fair?
Yeah,
Fair.
all right, I'll meet you at fair.
Also, reminds me of like an odd. I wonder if that's a reference to the Odd Couple or not, because Felix Unger, he always do like the fn when he cleared his sinus. It's like fn.
Honestly, I have no idea.
Anyway, it's a running gag.
I mean, it sounds like a bit of a stretch.
I'm just saying, like, it's the gag of like, okay, so it's a little hard to hear, and she keeps making this sound. At least we think it's a sound. I don't know, maybe in part.
I'll meet you at fair.
Yeah.
So anyway, Candace and her mom is bringing back a jackalope lawnmower.
Has a really good design.
Like, would you keep the jackalope lawnmower?
I mean, I'm not an animal guy, so I mean, me personally, no. But for the novelty, a part may be tempted to.
I mean, at least as like a conversation starter.
I mean, for those purposes,
Yeah, I mean, not for function, but definitely for fashion.
Yeah.
And of
Anyway.
course,
So Candace gets spotted, and like Stacy's like, "Oh, wait, did you go goth? Why'd you tell me?"
I'm glad Stacy becomes more fleshed out as the series goes on.
That's good. We can never have too much Kelly Who.
It's like, where are you familiar with her again?
I mean, she's in a lot of stuff, Jacob, but she's also actually a trained fighter as well. But she was. Let's see.
I mean, wasn't she an
X? Yeah, go on, tell him.
I was asking you, wasn't she an X2?
Yes.
All right, I completely.
Lady Deathstrike from X2. She was in. She's in the Orville recently. She was in. Let's see. So she was in Under the Red Hood. There's like a lot of voice work here and there. She was China White on the Arrow show, and most recently in Batman: Soul of the Dragon, she was Lady Shiva. Did a really good job as Lady Shiva.
Huh.
Kelly Who rocks.
And she does. I've actually yet to watch Soul of the Dragon.
Yeah. Let's see
But she said she was on the Orville.
Yeah, she's on the Orville. She plays one of the Seventh World has a lot of great talent on the Orville. A lot of those talents, like Kelly Who, play like the top level officers that are Ed Mercer's boss, that are the Seth MacFarlane character's boss, and she is one of them.
But she works for Dan's former boss.
Yeah.
Because remember, Dan used to also work on Family Guy.
There you go.
So there's some degree of separation there.
But who's really just going to starve out there on the streets? It's just not getting any work at all. We got to make a plea for her.
Who?
Sandra, man. Like, I'm worried about Sandra. I don't know about you. I don't think she's going to go anywhere. I think it's just a shame because she's just so darn talented. She had that one bit part on Phineas and Ferb, dazzled us all. And now, nothing. Like, her career hasn't gone anywhere. She hasn't done series or movies or been a very great Pixar character in recent years. Like nothing. Like it's never going to turn out for. I pray for. I think we all should. You know.
Code Geass also points out Kelly, who was in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 series.
Yep.
She was really good in that, actually, too.
I believe. Oh yeah. What I did see of it, I did see her as that character, and she was good.
And it's like the funny thing is, this is the first place I heard her, and then I watched Ninja Turtles. I was like, wait, that's Stacy.
Yeah.
But anyways, like the boys, Phineas continues to ignore Isabella about the seeing about the rainbow and everything. It's like, no, but it'll be great. Come on. To be fair, she does go along with it. Like after when he tells her to pour it in, pour it in the Rainbow-inator, and it fires, and it distracts some fishermen out on the coast.
Cast a line, it punctures the inner tube on the Doofania float essentially, and it sinks like the Titanic.
Yep, the inner tube falls, just goes away first, but then it just tilts to the side and then sinks underneath.
Yep. So then you have this thing where Doof first gets out of the water. Charlene does not see the giant robot. She does not see Norm.
Yeah, she does not see Norm. He should have taken that talent of hiding and utilized it for the later game of hide and seek.
Yeah, because apparently Norm's terrible at actually hiding on his own accord. Like, I can see you.
And of course she finds it seems like Doofania itself just shrunk down to a scale model.
But again, it looks like, one could say it looks like that, but yeah, it's like, oh look, you made it out of felt. Like, yes. It's like, that's so nice. You go on.
It worked. It works better than that China set you tried to build. Remember? I would if you quit reminding me. See, they're amicable, but they still have gripes.
Sure. All right, so Perry finally shows up because after his 24 hours is up, someone removes the collar so that now he goes and he shows up oh, look who finally decided to show up.
Well, what happens first is he tries one last charge into his base, but then he starts he gets dizzy and runs into the Rainbow-inator self-destruct button.
Why did we put that on there?
In retrospect, I questioned the inclusion of the self-destruct button in the first place. Which, to be fair, is a good point. Why would the boys actually build a self-destruct button? But either way, it's of course, another whistle. Bless you, Perry the Platypus. After he sneezes. Yep. So it takes off the cone. Shows up. And of course, Doof and Norm are passing the time playing a game of hide and seek. First hiding behind a pole and then trying again. It's you got the hide, all right? And then where's he? I'm right here, sir. And he just face palms. Have you ever known anybody like that, Dragon? Just is completely inept at playing games like that.
Yep.
Really?
Well, a figure of sense.
All right. But either way, Perry finally shows up, and it's probably safe to assume that nothing happens. And then Candace and Vanessa find each other in the store, and they both realize that they're wearing each other's clothes.
Hey!
Yep.
Okay, now here's something else to kind of call into question. Candace and Vanessa know each other. They've met. They sang a whole song together, and how do they not recognize each other's outfits? Let alone how do they, they're kind of oh man, there's some goth chick. Come on, it's more than some goth chick. It's Vanessa. It's Vanessa's outfit.
Well, remember when they sang "Busted," they were just singing at the same time. They didn't know they were singing it. They were
no. Didn't they meet? I guess. Well, here's I know later on wasn't there an episode where they met each other beyond that though?
Well, they met one point in Swinter.
Yeah, Swinter.
Yeah, but that was the only time they ever met up to this point.
Okay.
And she doesn't really become friends with Vanessa until later on.
All right, I guess it's thin but fine.
I mean, it's what it is. I mean, she only met Vanessa once at this point, and like I said, when they sang "Busted," they were not in the same place.
I guess that. All right, fine. Anyway, and that's it. That's the end of the episode.
And the end of the first season.
Yeah.
So, Green, what do you make of the first season so far?
I mean, again, it's look, on the whole, I like the show. It's it's entertaining. I'm loving the loving Doofenshmirtz for sure. The only issues I really hit in the first season are when we do like the episode breakdowns, where one episode's getting more attention than the other one, and we're kind of shortchanging the shorter of the two episodes, or at least what feels like the shorter of the two episodes.
All right.
It's the only main gripe that I have, and then of course my semantical things with Candace, but
Yep. What about the overall highlights of this season so far? Standout episodes.
Well, let's think.
I
do love. Go on.
No, all right. You can go. You go first.
Well, yeah. Overall, I mean, my go-tos. I do love the the golf, the miniature golf episode and the bowling episode. Let's see. Swinter was very solid.
Yeah, that is a great one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, it's just kind of hard to. I don't know. A lot of the Doofenshmirtz stuff just really hits me, in all the right places. So it's kind of an embarrassment of riches. Like the lawn gnome thing is still really funny.
Yeah, that was in the very beginning. it's like one of the most revisited flashbacks, referenced anyway.
Yeah, but again, there have been a lot of really good Doofenshmirtz songs as well. Even the ridiculous ones like covers "Brother" and "Pigeon Goo."
It's like my goody two shoes brother.
The favorite of my mother
is the one I like to smother in a bunch of pigeon goo.
Of course, I love me some Vanessa. I like that dynamic and the whole inclusion of Charlene. That's all pretty much anything involving Doofenshmirtz I've been on board for. I'm having trouble with specifics because I didn't know we were going to necessarily do this part, but yeah,
remember we were going to talk about highlights, but not going through the whole season anyway.
Yeah.
But I guess it's LEB kind of shares one with me. Dude, we're getting the band back together.
Yeah, that was quite the highlight. Yeah.
And of course, Code Geass says season 1 is a strong beginning for this show. I think further seasons build upon it and make some improvements. And I think that's a good way to end it. I mean, this season, I think this season isn't the best. Honestly, maybe season 2 or 3 for me are my favorites. I think every season has its ups and downs. So, but I still think season 2 is where the show really hit its stride, and in reality, season 2 and the beginning of season 3 is when the show's at its height of popularity. With everything leading up to the movie and everything, which isn't until season 3. But so any last thoughts for this season, Dragon, or any last thoughts of the episode before we close off?
I think we ended the first season strong with these 2 episodes. I'm happy. Kind of turned out like that.
And I do as well. I think that's a good way to end out this season and end this episode. So, thank you, LEB and Code Geass for your comments. It was quite lively. And make sure to join us next week when we begin a new season in season 2, and it's another 2-parter where the boys travel to the scenic Lake Nose, where there just might be something lurking beneath the water. Good night, everybody. Hail Doofania!
Founded on spite.